I do have a few more slides, so please bear with me. I'd like to talk a little bit about and just kind of make a shift to why Fosston is different, why this is a small community that does, and I have this slide up here to talk about school enrollment. When we met with Essentia executives on August 10th, we were told that our school enrollment's declining and our population is as well. And so I looked at Fosston through the Minnesota Department of Education, and Dr. Vedder's presentation was publicschoolreview.com, so that may have been where the difference was. But actually Fosston School District, barely, we've got a 1% increase, but in Moose Lake, where 86 babies were delivered last year, there's actually an 8% decline over the last 5 years, and in Detroit Lakes, where our moms are being diverted, there's an 8% decline in school enrollment. So our school is increasing. Just a point of clarification. This slide will serve as that point of clarification to members of the council. We were also shown that our population is declining, and while there is data through the U.S. Census Bureau that Polk County is declining in overall population, Fosston and the Fosston market area actually is not. It's projected to increase its population. We did a housing study in 2020, and we're actually projected to add 197 people between 2017 and 2050, and to that end needing an additional 94 housing units, which I'm happy to say that there's people in this community that are meeting that need. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association. They're watching this trend very closely because as utility providers, we need to know what's going to be happening rurally and in Greater Minnesota. And Greater Minnesota, in a 15-month time frame, grew our population by 24,588 people, while the metro area grew at a much lower pace. And actually, Greater Minnesota is projected to add 126,000 residents by 2045. And above average growth is in childbearing age. So that's great to hear. I think I can look around and see many people in this room that moved from a metro area back to a rural area, being Fosston. So we do know that there's a great deal of study around Greater Minnesota, just rural communities in general growing. I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about what the First Care Foundation has done. I'm very happy to be one of the newer members of the foundation, and that foundation does a tremendous amount of good work. We have some foundation members seated here. They've really done a lot of work surrounding the OB delivery program. At one of our Big Tango events, we raised money for the HUGS infant security system, and that really put us where we needed to be with other facilities delivering babies, where the clinician comes in and he scans and to ensure mommy and baby are matched appropriately. So that was a great thing to add. That was done by the foundation. The foundation also purchased mom and baby training mannequins. And I'm told that when those were purchased, we were specifically told that these would be used for training to maintain competency. The foundation also purchased an infant warmer and upgrades to the beautiful maternity rooms that unfortunately I think might have turned into storage. But overall, First Care Foundation has spent between $1.5 million to $2 million over the last 20 years to First Care and Essentia, and great work that they're doing, and all of you in this room, I'm sure, have contributed to that cause. And of course, I'd like to take an opportunity to just talk about what Fosston is doing in comparison to what other communities our size, and even some communities 5 times our size. You've heard a lot about police forces disbanding. While police forces are disbanding, Fosston reestablished their police force. It is fully staffed with 4 full-time. A couple of our chief, I think, is outside, and 2 patrol officers and a sergeant with over 40 years of experience between the 4 of them, with a couple new officers. The city owns our utility system, so we've upgraded our electrical and our natural gas. Got a great public works crew that does that work. We contract out, of course, and the child care center that Essentia did donate to. Essentia is the sponsor of the infant room at the child care center. And I'm lucky enough to be the board president of that nonprofit board. The center's doing well. And that infant room is full. It's been our only room that's been full since we opened up. And again, over the door is Essentia Health. So thank you for that donation. We've got housing coming on board, an amazing 14-unit apartment building downtown Fosston. We've had new homes built. We've got public art, pickleball courts. And again, the pickleball courts were a contribution from Essentia, in part from a contribution. There's been 8 new homes built. We've added a 2nd edition and are working on a 3rd edition to our industrial park. And to that end, over 150 jobs have been added. And we have continued growth. Crazy to think, but in a 5-year time frame, the city, through bonding and some private and federal state grants, is going to be infusing over $22 million into this community in 5 years. And we heard that, Essentia, since they've been here 14 years, has put $13 million into this community on I think it was quite a large budget. So yeah, contributions are being made all around in the community. And so late this year, early 2024, an additional 19 housing units will be available to meet the goal, or to go towards the goal of 94 additional housing units that our housing study showed. And over 10 new businesses in the last 10 years. So we've got an active economic development authority that is meeting the needs of this community and ensuring that we are not stagnant, but we are pushing forward. Our tax capacity has increased by 40% since 2020, and certainly that can be contributed to the market, but also that's growth in our community. So I'm going to end here, and we're going to be in the home stretch, I promise, but this will serve as the end of why we can do it in Fosston, and really why we should and need to do this in Fosston. Because there's 15 communities in the Essentia Health West market, and they're up on the screen there. And so what happens to those people in those communities? Because, we're not just the city limits, we're the Fosston community. So where will moms deliver? The average distance to Fosston from those 15 communities in the West Market is 22 miles. To Detroit Lakes, it's nearly 70. And to any other hospital delivering babies, it's an average of 37. And in only 2 of those instances on the right, does a community have a closer commute to DL than a different provider, such as Sanford or Riverview, and that's Monoman and Bijou. And where we are matters. Polk County Public Health provided a letter to us regarding some top concerns impacting quality of life, and it's timely and affordable health care. And the barriers for that include distances greater than 30 miles, and Pat spoke to that. The 30 miles is that makes a barrier. And Dr. Herman, this quote was from you, and it really speaks to the rurality, the concept that where you are matters, and the care you get, the best care you can get is closest to home. So thank you for that. And we are now very much in the home stretch. It's about our community, it's about those other 15 communities, but it's important. Minnesota legislature passed legislation surrounding this issue. And if it's gaining, our state legislation, our elected officials' attention, surely it won't stop here, I have to believe. And so to that end, if services are relocated or a patient has to be relocated, or operations have stopped or stopped offering maternity care, the Department of Health Commissioner needs to be notified and notify the public and have a hearing, because legislation knows that it's a community issue and communities ought to weigh in, and we've not been provided that notice at the city talked about, the council has taken action 3 times on this issue. In March, when we knew that we weren't going to meet our deadline for Tango and Cash, the council passed a resolution affirming our intending to dispute any kind of discontinuation of services, basically putting Essentia on notice that we can't let this go. We would like to point you back to our affiliation agreement, and the council passed that, very supportive, unanimously. And then again in June, after the task force was largely disbanded because we didn't think we were going in the right direction, affirmed that resolution, and again it was passed unanimously and continued full support from the council. And in July, the council authorized myself and the city attorney to take legal action. I don't know, I think I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Okay, so we talk a lot about OB, and so I think in the last slide, Dr. Vetter showed, Fosston's offering prenatal, Fosston's offering postnatal, postpartum, but not the middle piece. So what does OB mean to you all in this room? Scan the QR code and answer. Only 2 options. And we'll see. Okay. So is it prenatal, postpartum only, or prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum? So thank you. And again, OB, obstetrics, it's several sources. It's women giving birth, it's childbirth, it's not just your prenatal appointments, it's not just your postpartum appointments, it's having your baby. So, to that end, we are in a legal dispute. This is a process that we needed to follow. This is a second informal meeting with Essentia Health executives, and we are in this process. We have legal counsel, Essentia has legal counsel, and Essentia, because of the agreement, Essentia Health must provide core services, hospital primary services of medical and surgical and outpatient services, OB, surgery and emergency room. There's also a level of physician clinic staffing that needs to be met, and advanced life support, EMS. And so these are just a few of the things in that great agreement that folks in this room worked so tirelessly on back in 2008 to 2009. And so I'm sure you are all wondering what's next. What's the city, what do we do, what's next? So this, I think, will conclude our informal meetings with Essentia. The agreement calls for mediation. The mediator should be chosen in like a 10-day frame, and then the mediation should occur within about 30 days, so that gives us about 40 days. And in mediation, I assure you that myself, the elected officials that are involved, the task members that are involved, we will work to find solutions to meet this need. And if that doesn't happen, the agreement does call for arbitration. And so that's going to be the process that we're going to be on, and we will surely keep the community informed, as informed as we possibly can. And so I'm going to end here, but I received this at an administrator training years ago. It's a bookmark. I have it on my desk, and I love it, and I think that this is absolutely true for this community. So thank you.